There it is. Okay, thanks everyone. You popped back in. All right. And lastly is just to get support. So if this is something that you want to be done with, and you, whatever it might be for body image or for dieting or any aspect of this, is just to get support from someone who can help you. I know it can be really difficult. I've had a couple clients before say, like, my mom's always making, like, it makes it very hard to have a healthy relationship with their food and their body because they have a lot of family members or friends around them that are still wrapped up and also don't believe in it, despite the evidence that's out there. They go, oh, that's not going to work. I don't know what you're talking about. And so you can feel really alone in it. So having that support from someone or a group of people can be really helpful. Okay. So I want you to, do we have any questions so far on anything that I covered? Oh, poor Lisa, she logged in and then got kicked out.
Who?
Lisa.
I'll tell her to log back in.
Okay.
Well, how do you, if you don't diet, but you want to maintain a healthy weight, how do just eating, I always call it eating clean, but I guess you're not supposed to do that according to you. So just eat, how do you eat if you want to like maintain a healthy weight, which I think a healthy weight, just as you mentioned earlier, is it's what your body likes.
Right.
That's your maintaining your healthy weight.
So I try to really take the focus off of weight, because if you're really trying to just aim for a certain weight and you have to adjust, like you're eating to that, then you're probably not. I take the weight out of the picture. So I focus more on like foods that make you feel good. And it's kind of just baby steps. Just what foods do you feel best when you're eating? And what foods satisfy you? And what does that look like? Like, what is that balance? Because once you let all foods really come into, and when I say into your diet, oops, I'm going to mute her. Lisa, I'm just going to mute you for now. You can always unmute if you want to chat. Anyone can. Sorry, I muted you too, Fran. That when we allow all foods in, you end up having a really healthy, balanced diet. I promise that you're not going to always want to eat cookies. You're not always going to want to eat burgers because you probably won't feel your best. So you just find a way of eating that feels best for you. And it takes a little kind of exploring, like, what does that look like? Especially if you've dieted for a long time, you may not even know those foods anymore because you just feel like you have to eat a certain way. And a healthy weight, I mean, what does that even mean? Really, like, what is, it doesn't really mean anything because there can be such a wide variety of weights that are healthy. I had someone recently say, well, I want to be healthier. And I said, oh, like, what's going on? She's like, oh, nothing. Her labs were all good. She doesn't have any. So I said, you are right here. But there's just the idea that having, like I said, a higher weight, all of a sudden we equate that with being unhealthy. And that's not true. That's not necessarily true. I know I will tell you, not a lot, but I know a couple of people who look healthy and thin. No, Fran, you don't. I had to mute everybody at once. Sorry. That look healthy, but they've had some pretty unhealthy behaviors to get there, and they still do. So you can unmute yourselves. When I did that, it muted everyone at once. So I hope that answered your question with that.
I think, well, for me, like, when I eat too much sugar, I just feel so gross. So I think that's like a good example, the sugar thing, like how you feel after you have like a little bit, what probably won't make you feel just bleh, but if you eat like, more, a lot, and just that feeling afterwards of
right,
too much sugar.
And I bet everyone could probably think of something when that happens. Like last night, I ate way too much pizza late and I did not feel good. Like, I love pizza and I have nothing against pizza, but I could acknowledge later, like, okay, I ate a piece too many. Now I feel uncomfortable. That doesn't feel good. So maybe next time I'll go, oh, hold up a little bit. But I was too hungry and I got just to the point where I ate too much. It's okay. I'm not mad about it. That's it. That's it. You just make that statement. Oh, I ate too much pizza. I don't feel good. Next time I'm going to try not to do that. And that's it. But it's not easy. I do know it takes a while to get back some of those internal, how to get back some of those things that we were born with. Like, I think we've talked about this in some of our wellness talks that you all have been that, but if you watch a kid, they're just so good at like eating when they're hungry and stopping when they're full. Like we think, oh, you should be eating dinner. Well, they're not hungry. So just, they're honoring that. And so I really don't pressure. And there are certain times, right? If your kid's never eating, there's definitely other circumstances where maybe you have to help them along a little bit. But if they have a generally healthy diet of appetite, then you just let them, you honor it, right? They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And so as adults, we kind of lose it. And it's really good to try and learn to get that back. But that was good, Lindsay. Thank you for the sugar example.
I know very well from experience.
But yeah, hasn't that been something that you like have worked on personally?
Yeah, I was going to mention earlier, just like the emotional eating is something that I mean, still have to just keep in check, because that's a big piece, I think, too, of just like the eating. Like, why are we eating? Like, is it to fill a void of some sort, or fill some sort of emotion? Or like, that's a question you can ask yourself when you reach for whatever kind of food. And like, am I really hungry? Am I really like, what am I really craving right now? Is it really just to fill something? Or am I really hungry? Or do I really need this kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, emotional eating is like a whole other, there's just so much involved, right? It'd be nice if eating was just simple, and it's not, but it's nice to try to get back there. But that is really good. Yeah, asking yourself, like, why am I doing this behavior right now? And that could even be a really good place to start. Just kind of, am I hungry right now? What's going on right now? And do I need something else? Or is this food is this what I want right now? This food. And you can absolutely give yourself permission to have it if it is. And then one of the things that I was going to say is, they kind of say recovery, but that's just kind of means recovery from dieting, or even there is a difference between disordered eating and an eating disorder. But disordered eating has really come pretty normal, kind of mainstream almost, that we don't really recognize it anymore in people who really limit certain food groups, or even counting calories. Like, people don't really bat an eye at that much anymore. So when I say recovery, it's when you've kind of let all of those things go. But it says recovery is possible by giving up all forms of dieting, consistently eating enough, and not restricting any food groups, making peace with your body, and learning to approach food and exercise from a place of self-care rather than self-control. And so I just love that when you approach it that way, is like, I'm taking care of myself, as opposed to I'm trying to control myself or my size or whatever. So, okay. So before we wrap up, is there anything else? Yes, Fran, you unmute yourself, Fran. Here, hold on.
About this new thing that everybody's doing, not everybody, but a lot of people are going gluten-free. That seems to be the fad right now. Is that helpful?
Technically, you don't need to go gluten-free unless you have like celiac disease, in which you have, your body cannot have gluten. Some people that do have a gluten intolerance, so they just don't feel that great when they eat it. And there is more gluten in our foods than there used to be, so people may just not be able to tolerate it as well. But there's really no reason to eat gluten-free unless you have some sort of health issue. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
And sometimes like the gluten-free stuff can be more processed than
yes,
just the regular.
Yeah.
So it's looking
yeah,
at
but
that.
because it's they label it like that. Like, oh, great, gluten-free pretzels or whatever it is. I don't know. But you're right. Yeah, totally, Lindsay.
And you think that too with like the low fat, no sugar thing too. Like they have to fill it with something. Like, so what is, if it's not sugar or fat, then
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, processed stuff might not be any better.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right. Oh, all right, Christina, let's see, my friend. Where's my chat? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's not to say if there's foods that you are intolerant to, or they just don't make you feel great. We all have foods like that. When when you eat certain things, you're like, that doesn't make me feel my best, then that's okay. Absolutely. Like you can choose to have some foods that aren't in your diet in a healthy way, just because you don't feel your best when you have it, as opposed to having strict food rules because you think that you shouldn't, or someone told you you shouldn't, or it's the latest fad or whatever. There's definitely a difference there. Yeah, so that's good. Thanks, Christina. Okay. Anyone else? Lindsay, I loved your input today. Thank you for that.
Yes, it's definitely something a big part of my journey. I mean, even just last week, taking a picture with all you girls, Michelle and Janelle and Lauren, and I just like found myself body shaming next to them, even though I'm healthy and strong. And I mean, I still, even a lot of the work that I put into it, I still get those moments.
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, you look so cute. I thought all of you look cute. 4 of you, 5 of you, however many there were. I would never think that you thought you were overweight or even,
Right? It's crazy.
it is
My
crazy.
brain is crazy sometimes.
The cutest body. So,
And
I
it's
think the same about you. Oh, go ahead.
because honestly, like if you think about the people that you know or love, or even if you don't, but it's kind of easier to relate when you know them, right? Like, do you ever love anybody because of what they look like or their size? Like, I can guarantee pretty much no one does. Like, I don't look at someone, like I love them because of who they are and all the things that, like, we have so much to offer this world that unfortunately sometimes people don't see because of our size, or get treated differently. But I know personally, like that in pictures or in person, like that's not something I'm ever thinking about. Like it's just them as a person. And so I know it's really easy to pick ourselves apart like that. Like, oh gosh, I look this way or that way, but I can guarantee like anyone that loves you or knows you is not thinking any of those things. So, and a good thing that you can try to like really eat, well, it's not easy, but it's a little exercise you can practice is if you start to pick apart something, just stop right there. Like say it's your arms just because they're right here. Like you can just put your hands right there and just be like, I love you, or I love my arms, and my arms hold my family, or I get to do, I get to exercise with my arms instead of focusing on, oh gosh, they're so this or that, or anything that might be negative, and just stop right there, say something kind to yourself, and then move on. Okay. I'm so glad you all came. We're small but mighty. I actually really liked having a conversation. This was nice, as opposed to so formal.
thank you.
Yeah, so good. Such good information.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. Well, does anyone have anything else to share? We're kind of nearing the end of our time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, because I cut in and out. It freezes at times. I mean, in the future, it'd be nice to know more about how to approach people in your life who do talk about it a lot. Because I'm having that issue right now with my mother-in-law, which is a really hard one to approach. And because she does it with the grandkids.
Do you have girls?
I have 2 boys and a girl, but she mainly does it with my niece and nephew. But they're all around each other at the same time. But I mean, it gets
like, what is she saying? Or is it's a lot of different?
It's a lot of different things. It's a lot of like passive aggressive trying to trick them, or I mean, they're 11 and 13 at this point. Like they're not 5 anymore.
Mhm.
And, you know, well, let's make a good choice about this. Now, this one has too much sugar. Let's have a little, and just like, oh my gosh, stop it. Because she's totally worried about their weight. And
What about the children's mother?
Oh, she is
No.
crazy.
I mean, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are both bigger. And so I think she's just scared that their kids are going to get bigger. And so she's like fighting this tooth and nail, but it's only making it worse. And she has them, like they're at her house a lot of the time. And so it's really hard.
Mhm.
And it's hard to talk about it with her. I mean, she's like, I know everything about everything on every subject. And
Oh gosh.
it's hard to kind of reason with her, but it's painful at times to watch.
Has anyone had a conversation with? That's the hard thing, is some people are not going to be open. So
Yeah.
even if you try, they're really going to resist. So that's what makes it really tricky.
I mean, my husband has at times tried to approach her about, I wouldn't say that to them, or don't make such a big deal out of it. But
Mhm. Maybe something like, I know like you care about them, and this comes from a place of like you care and you're just worried. But it's not it's not going to help. It's probably going to have the opposite of your intended effect,
yeah.
truthfully. And so you can really help them more by not talking about it or not making such a big deal out of it. Because then maybe she'll go, oh, okay, so if I don't, then it'll work, which, but at least she's not saying those things, because it's true. It doesn't work. So it's hard. I mean, hey, I do this for a living and I still don't have the conversation with my own parents. So I feel you, because when they're close to you and you have that relationship as like your parent, it becomes a lot harder. So I do feel you. And I don't want to hurt their feelings. That's where I come from. I don't want to make them feel bad, but then I go, you know what? I need to be a mom first and protect my kids versus hurting your feelings. So yeah. But that was a good question.
Mhm. Yeah, really good.
Because I know that happens a lot.
My mother-in-law and father-in-law, like, that's like the one thing that's consistent that they comment on, like, oh, you're looking either like, it's just, it's tough. Like putting those boundaries up.
Mhm. Yes. My mother-in-law's come over and like literally the first thing she's like, I lost 30 pounds. Okay. And then I don't want to make her feel bad, but it's just like, oh, I don't know why. That's the first thing we need to say. We haven't seen you in months, I know. It's really hard. The boundaries setting is difficult for sure.
Mhm.
But you can just be a good example, like we don't talk about it. And I do. This is like, I decided yesterday, like I need to have this conversation and just find a good way to do it. It's just time.
You have an excuse. Actually, so does Allie too. You can say, I don't want you to talk about this because I try not to involve my girls in conversations of diet,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want something to happen to them to think they need to lose weight. And then she would probably understand.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because my mother-in-law was real thin and talked of dieting all the time, and I was intimidated by her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it typically doesn't really affect people around you very well.
No.
Having those conversations. And the thing too, like if you're complimenting people on like, oh, you look so good, or, oh, you lost weight, like what does that mean beforehand? Or what does that mean to other people in earshot who haven't, like, how are they going to feel? So it doesn't, It's really not complimentary in the long run. I see Lisa's. Is that your daughter, Lisa? Hi.
I'm going to have her watch. We're going to watch the recorded video together because I think it's really important information. And it's so, I know I came in at the end, but just the conversation about how everybody always has to comment. It is the leading conversation. Oh, you look so good. Or, oh, did you lose weight? Or, and my mother-in-law will actually say to my husband, like, wow, you're really putting some weight on. So it's like, it's just awful. It's like dreading going over there because something's going to get picked on, you know? So it's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We don't comment on other things. I mean, maybe we do, but not really. So I'll wait. It's just become this thing that, well, free for all. Yeah. Well, this is good. I'm glad you all were able to join. And, if you have any other questions, or actually we have our next wellness cafe on Friday, the 4th. So that's coming up next. So I like to I think I've seen a lot of you there, but I like to pick, it's much more simple, but like something we talk about for 10 or 15 minutes. And that typically has to do with this. Then we just focus on one thing. So sign up for that on Friday. I'll be doing that with Maria. I haven't chosen my topic yet, but if there's something specific you want me to address, I can put that in there. All right. Anything else before we sign off? And Mary, thank you always for your nice comments. I'm glad it's been helpful to you. All right, friends. Well, I think that's it then. Have a very happy Sunday. I will send out the recording. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me or message me, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. All right.
Thank you, Lauren. Such good information.
Good. Thanks, Linz. All right. Bye, Christina. Bye, Allie. Bye, Lisa and daughter. Bye, Mary. Bye, Fran.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, Mary, you're the cutest. Bye, everyone. Thank you.